Hi, my name is Wendy, and we're going to talk today about some options and ways to do a constipation clean out for your child. You might have to do a constipation clean out because your doctor's recommended that you do one for your child. And often when they tell you to do a constipation clean out, they give you a regimen of Miralax. Miralax is not approved for children under 17, and it's not approved for anyone for more than 7 days. There have been over 25,000 reports of adverse events from Miralax use. Children have had seizures and tics, and my son is one of those children, which is how I got involved in helping other families who are having struggles with constipation. So if your child has not gone to the doctor and been diagnosed needing a clean out, you still may feel that your child needs one. Their belly might be distended. They might not have had a bowel movement in a few days or even a week or more. Ideally, you want your child to be having 1 to 3 bowel movements a day. And if your child is consistently not having that, the stool is going to build up and they're not going to be able to get it all out. And sometimes they can still be going daily and still constipated. So it's super tricky to figure out when you maybe need to do a clean out. But you can use your judgment, and you're not going to do any real damage to your child by doing a clean out. And it can give you a fresh start when you're dealing with constipation, so that you kind of know what your interventions are doing and which ones are being successful. And if you start getting backed up again, it can give you clues into what's working and what's not. So one of the most common and effective alternatives to Miralax for a constipation clean out is magnesium. And there are different types of magnesium, and they work in different ways. I'm going to put a link to my article on magnesium for constipation below in the notes, so you can check that out, discussing the different types. One of the common ones that was used for years for constipation cleanouts or bowel prep for procedures and things was magnesium citrate. And they sell magnesium citrate at the store, and they still do use it for colonoscopy prep and things like that. And the reason why it works so well is because it's not very well absorbed by the body. And so it's easy to reach bowel tolerance. And that's the gist of what we're really looking for here, is to try to reach bowel tolerance. So bowel tolerance is when your body gets kind of flooded so much with something that it lets all the extra of it out through your stool, and it causes loose stool. And how much it's going to take for any individual person to get to bowel tolerance can really vary, and it can be kind of shocking how much it takes to get your kid there. If your child's super magnesium deficient and they're really backed up, it can take significantly more magnesium than you would expect to reach bowel tolerance. So one of a really kid-friendly magnesium is Natural Calm Magnesium. And the reason why I like it doesn't have any ingredients that are concerning to me. It's sweetened with stevia, which is a slightly different taste, so not all kids really love it. It comes in a powder that you activate with boiling water. And then you can dilute it, you can mix it with juice, you can make ice pops out of it. You can also get it as a gummy. And so lots of kids like the gummies. The gummies, from what I've heard from my readers and my members of my group on Facebook, is that it doesn't necessarily work like, milligram to milligram the same way as the powder does. So you might need more of the gummies to get the same effect that you're going to get with the powder. And it has to be activated with hot to boiling water. So you're going to put that hot water on the powder, and you're going to see it just bubbles right up. And then put lots of ice, mix it with drinks. You can add limeade or lemonade. It comes in different flavors. My son liked the lemon flavor, but they have a raspberry lemonade. They've got cherry. They've got different flavors, so you can try different ones and see which one works for your child. So once again, we're trying with any of the things that we're talking about to reach that bowel tolerance. So the general idea is you're going to start with whatever dose of magnesium you choose. And I'm not a doctor, and I can't tell you what's going to work specifically for your child. I'm just a mom whose child went through this stuff, and I don't want to see any other parents have the same kind of side effects that their kid had without any information on how to help them. So the gist is you're trying to get to that bowel tolerance. So small, frequent doses until you reach bowel tolerance. So you might want to start with a teaspoon of the Natural Calm or whatever your initial dose is. And then if you haven't had a bowel movement, you do maybe half that dose or a quarter of that dose, and you every couple hours, and it may take a couple of days until you reach bowel tolerance, depending on where your child is. So you just keep doing small doses. The extra, they're going to be pooping this out. That's the goal. So you kind of want to flood their systems a little bit. And it can, magnesium citrate is it's magnesium bound with citric acid. So it and other, I'm sure, scientific complicated things, but the gist of it. So it's going to be acidic. And the one thing to look out for with it is that it can cause kind of acidic stools, and it can burn when it comes out. So if your child's complaining about that, you might want to try using multiple types of magnesium to reach that bowel tolerance. So you're not just reliant on the one magnesium. So Epsom salt baths are awesome. And often if your child's kind of holding it in and doesn't want to release, playing in an Epsom salt bath will help them because they'll relax. The warm water helps them relax. The Epsom salt helps them relax. They're getting more Epsom salt and magnesium into their system. And sometimes, just a warning, they will go in the tub. So if that really freaks you out, that's something to know about. But it's really good for the child, and you just have to sanitize your tub after you get them out. But the great news is that you've gotten your child to have a bowel movement. Another magnesium supplement that I really love is Omniblue Ocean Minerals. And it is a magnesium and trace mineral supplement. And it's a full spectrum mineral, so it's not just magnesium. It's got magnesium, chloride, sodium, potassium, sulfate. So it works really, really well, but it's kind of tricky because it has a strong taste. It's harvested from the ocean water that's super, super concentrated. And so it's a little trickier to get enough in a child to reach that bowel tolerance. So one thing you can do is put it into salty foods like broth, soups, things like that. And the trick with it is always to dilute a lot. So you can put, a drop in every drink they have all day, or 2 or 3 drops, until you get to a point where your child's like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. And it works really well. It's safe. You can use it for infants on up. It's harvested near the Great Barrier Reef from a vent in the ocean floor where the water and the minerals are coming out. So it's not going to be contaminated like it would be possibly if you were getting ocean water from other places. So I really do, that's a supplement that is good for long-term use. You can use Omniblue, your whole family can do it daily, forever without any, downsides to it. So that's really a good option. Another option is I have a recipe on my website for an electrolyte drink. And this is Celtic sea salt, and you mix that in with juice, and I don't know if you can see it in there, but the salt is almost damp, and it's gray, and it's just filled with different minerals, and it works very similarly to the Omniblue. And you can actually, if you want, you can use the Omniblue instead of the Celtic sea salt for the electrolyte drink. And a lot of parents are like, oh, this drink is really salty. It's kind of a Gatorade kind of replacement, but the way it works, it's all natural ingredients, and you don't have any additives or anything in it. You're using juice, orange juice or limeade or lemonade, and then you're putting salt and Epsom salt in. So you're getting the salt, and you can do basically just salt if your child won't drink it with the Epsom salt. But it should be a sea salt. You can use Himalayan sea salt, but in my experience, it just does not work as effectively as the Celtic sea salt. And you can also, I would not use table salt. You don't want to use the bleached table salt. It is stripped of a lot of the minerals and it's not going to be as effective. So those are a couple of options. I will have those links below. You can also do a vitamin C flush. This is just regular vitamin C, but I would look for a buffered vitamin C because similar to the magnesium citrate, it can cause the stool to burn when it comes out if you're doing a vitamin C flush. But for a lot of kids, it's tasty, they don't have a problem with it, and it works great. It kind of depends on your child and what their body is like and how acidic they are with how it'll work. So those are some really good options for that. Your child can eat and drink normally during a clean out. Your child, even if you stopped eating, your child would keep making stool for days. So there's not really a huge benefit unless it's for prep and you've gotten your doctor telling you they need to stop eating. You want to keep them hydrated. You want to do a lot of liquids. So, dilute the calm, dilute Omniblue. If they drink the bath water, obviously before they poop in it, not after, let them drink the bath water with the Epsom salt and stuff. It's not going to hurt them. You can also add in coconut oil, which will help lubricate if there's a really hard ball of stool. And if you're feeling like your child feels like they have to go and they're not able to get the stool out, it might be that they have such a hard ball of stool in there that they're not able to get it to move. One thing that can help is you can use a suppository or an enema. And I know those are kind of, people get nervous about having to do those things and they can be kind of traumatic. So I have an article below that I will link in the description that'll talk about how to do that in a way that isn't stressful or traumatizing to you or your child. But doing top down, bottom up, you're kind of coming at the problem from both sides, and it can really help to get things moving. So how do you know when you've got your child cleaned out? And it can be really tricky to know this. Doctors will often use, feel, they'll push on your child's tummy, or they can even do an x-ray. But at home, it's really hard to know. We're not going to be able to tell by feel the same way that a doctor is. So what you're looking for is you need a significant amount of stool to come out. If your child hasn't had a bowel movement in a week or 2 weeks, you're looking at having enough stool that you would think that was probably how much would be coming out. And it may come out in a few solid bowel movements that move into liquid diarrhea and then into clear to yellow brown water coming out. If you get to that, you're pretty sure you've got your child clean out. But it can get to clear liquid brown water and still not be totally cleaned out if your child has a hard ball of stool high up inside their rectum or in their intestines, that everything is just kind of passing around and flowing around. So the goal is to make sure that you get a significant amount of stool coming out. You want to make sure that gets loosened up, and you may, like I said, have some solid bowel movements that come out that go to diarrhea, or it may just be pretty significant diarrhea for a while that turns into that clear yellow brown water. So those are the things to look for when you're doing a clean out with your child, to know that you've kind of reached to the end of what you need to do. Once you have your child cleaned out, you need to work on getting that constipation under control so that you have a daily regimen that keeps your child going every day so that we don't have this backup of stool. And there's a lot of things that we can do to get there. Short term, you can continue to use magnesium to the point where you're getting 1 to 3 formed bowel movements a day. So I have a ton of videos and information on my website that will help you. There's links down below where you can see some other information that will help you with your child and their constipation so that you don't have to continually do clean outs, because it just keeps backing up and then you got to be really aggressive. So thank you very much.